Biochemistry Revision Question, Series 2, Episode 1. Using specific examples, present a general classification of amino acids. So, a given amino acid may be classified based on the following. So, we can classify amino acid based number 1 on the structural classification, that is based on their structure. We can also classify them based on their electrochemical properties. We can classify them based on their biological functions or physiological functions. We can also classify amino acids based on their fate of their carbon skeletons. We can as well classify amino acids based on their participation in protein synthesis. So let's begin. Structural classification. I have shared a video in the comment section. That is a link to a video. In that video, I have explained to you the basic structure of a given amino acid. So let's see. So the basic structure of amino acids consists of the following. So we have a central carbon that is bonded to 4 different groups of atoms. So the first group is the carboxyl group. The second group is the hydrogen atom. Another group is the aminol group. And the variant group is the side chain. So this is what distinguishes one amino acid from another. It is the property of this side chain that is used to classify a given amino acid as maybe acidic or basic and so forth. So that is structural classification. You can click on the link in the comment section so that you understand in details the structural classifications of amino acids. Then let's look at the electrochemical properties. You also need to know that as we have acidic and also basic amino acids. So acidic amino acids are normally negatively charged at a pH of 6.0, whereas basic amino acids are positively charged at a pH of around 6.0. Then we can also classify them based on the physiological or biological functions. So based on this, you need to know that amino acids may be classified as essential or non-essential. So there is a video that I have shared that the difference between essential and non-essential amino acids. You need to know that essential amino acids are those amino acids that the body cannot easily synthesize, so they are required to be provided in the diet. Whereas the non-essential amino acids are those amino acids that can easily be synthesized by the body, and therefore they are not necessarily put in the diet. So that is based on the physiological or biological functions or biological role. Then based on the fate of their carbon skeleton. Some amino acids may be degraded into pyruvate and then into the intermediates of the acid of the TCA cycle, after which they can be converted into glucose or glycogen. So such amino acids are known as glucogenic amino acids. Then we have some amino acids whose carbon skeleton may be degraded into ketone bodies. They are known as ketogenic amino acids. So the ketone bodies are beta hydroxybutyrate and also acetone. These are normally evidenced in the patients who are suffering from diabetes mellitus, that is untreated diabetes mellitus. So we go through our notes again. We have said structural classification is based on the side chain, that is the R group, and I have explained that. Then we have electrochemical classification. This is based on the acid-base properties of the amino acid. Acidic amino acids are negatively charged at a pH is equal to 6.0. An example of such amino acids are aspartic acid, which has got the side chain having the CH2 and the carboxyl group, and glutamic acid whose side chain has got 2 CH2s and 1 carboxyl group. We go to physiological or biological. Here it's based on functional properties of amino acids in living organisms. So it can be classified as essential and non-essential. Then we have based on the fate of their carbon skeleton. So basing on the fate of carbon skeleton, we have glucogenic. Their carbon skeletons are degraded to pyruvate, succinyl-CoA, fumarate, oxaloacetate, and then converted to glucose or glycogen. I've explained that. Then we have ketogenic. Their carbon skeleton is degraded to acetyl-CoA, then converted to acetone and beta-hydroxybutyrate. These are the main ketone bodies. On the participation in protein synthesis, we shall have proteogenic and non-proteogenic. So from the word proteogenic, it means that they are used to synthesize proteins, to make proteins. So these are formed by modification of standard amino acids. And examples of such amino acids are 4-hydroxyproline and 5-hydroxylysine. Then we have non-proteogenic. From non-proteogenic, they occur in free or combined state. So they play an important role in metabolism in plasma. So examples of such amino acids are L-arginine and also citrulline. We go through our notes again. That is non-standard and proteogenic are components of proteins created by modification of standard amino acids. An example is 4-hydroxyproline and 4-hydroxylysine. Then non-proteogenic, they occur in free or combined state. They play an important role in metabolism in plasma. Example is citrulline and L-arginine. 2. Discuss functional classification of proteins. Proteins may be classified under the following subheadings as enzymes. That is a functional classification as enzymes. What are enzymes? We know that enzymes refers to biocatalysts that either speed up or slow down the rate of a chemical reaction. So examples of enzymes that are proteins include the kinases and also transaminases. Then we can also classify proteins under protective function. So you know that proteins help protect our bodies against bacteria and other microorganisms. Examples of such proteins are blood clotting factors and also immunoglobulin. Then another way of classifying proteins is under transport. So some proteins normally assist our bodies during transport of important substances. Such proteins include hemoglobins and lipoproteins. Then we can as well classify proteins basing on the structural functions. We know that there are some proteins that are found making up the bodies of living organisms. Such proteins include collagen and proteoglycan. Then we can classify proteins also basing on the regulatory functions, that is regulation of various activities in our bodies. So that means that they act as some hormones. So examples of such proteins are peptide hormones, and also DNA binding proteins. Then we can as well classify proteins under storage functions. So we know that proteins help in the storage of substances in our bodies. So such proteins include myoglobin and ferritin. So we go through our notes again. I've talked about the enzymes. Discuss functional classification of proteins. So enzymes. Examples of the enzymes that are proteins include kinases and transaminases. Then we have storage proteins. Those are myoglobin and ferritin. Then regulatory proteins include peptide hormones and DNA binding proteins. We also have structural proteins such as collagens and proteoglycans. Then we have protective proteins such as blood clotting factors and immunoglobulin. Then we have transport proteins. These include hemoglobin and plasma lipoproteins. So I have come up with a mnemonic on how to easily remember the functional classification of proteins. So let's say that you are at an entrance where you want to enter a boat, but that region is full of robbers. So which instructions do you expect at the entrance? So at the entrance, you expect these instructions: protect, transport straight, regulate your story. Protect, transport straight, regulating story. So you have to remember that at the entrance, we have enzymes, enzyme standing for entrance. Then we have protect, which is protection. Transport, that is transport. Straight means structure or function. Then we have regulating, which is a regulatory function of our protein. Then we have story, which stands for storage. We go to question number 3. Question number 3. List 10 functions of lipids. It's very easy for you to remember the functions of lipids. I have shared a mnemonic on the same under the comment section. So the first function is the structural component of biomembranes. When you look at the structure of the cell membrane, you will see some parts labeled phospholipids and also cholesterol. So that is the structural function of lipids. Then another function is metabolic regulators. Metabolic regulators. Examples include steroid hormones and prostaglandins, which normally carry out metabolic activities. Then under adipose tissue, we have a hormone that is being secreted known as hormone leptin, which regulates appetite. Another function that you need to remember is a storage form of energy. As a storage form of energy, you need to know that triglycerides store a lot of energy. So in fact, the amount of energy stored by lipids is more than the equal amount of energy that is stored by carbohydrates. Another function is as surfactants, detergents, and also emulsifying agents, e.g. amphipathic lipids. Another role is electric insulators in neurons. That one you can check on the structure of neurons. Then on insulation, you also need to remember about insulation against changes in external body temperatures. So fats deposited under the subcutaneous tissue layer of the skin are normally used to insulate the body against temperature changes. Then you also need to remember that fats normally give shape and contour to the body. Without fats, we could not be having these particular specific shapes of our bodies. So they give shape and contour to the body. Then another point that you need to recall is fats that are deposited under vital organs such as human heart. They provide protection against shock. Then lipids also aid in absorption of fat soluble vitamin and K, that is ADEK. We go through our notes. Number 1 is storage form of energy, e.g. triglycerides store amount of energy than equal amount of carbohydrates. They store more amount of energy than equal amount of carbohydrates. Structural components of biomembranes, I have explained that. So e.g. phospholipids and cholesterol are found on the structure of the cell membrane. Then metabolic regulators, e.g. steroid hormones and prostaglandins. Then we also have adipose tissue that produces hormone leptin that regulates appetite. Then fats also act as surfactants. So they act as detergents and also emulsifying agents, e.g. amphipathic lipids. Another point is they act as electric insulators in neurons. Then another point is insulation against external temperature changes, e.g. subcutaneous fat. Then they give shape and contour to the body. Another point is they protect the internal organs by providing cushioning effect, that is parts of fat. Then we have absorption of fat soluble vitamins, that is A, D, E, and K. Finally, the role of lipids. Number 1, they improve tastes and palatability of food. So without putting lipids in food, the food could be tasteless. Another point is omega-3 and omega-6. They help in controlling blood cholesterol. They also help in reducing inflammation and also blood clotting. We go through our notes. So they improve taste and palatability of food. Omega-3 and omega-6 essential fatty acids help regulate cholesterol and blood clotting, and also control inflammation in joints, tissues, and bloodstream.